Welcome to the Scoop on Blogging podcast, where our mission is to educate, inspire, and help you earn more as a content creator. We'll also introduce you to some pretty amazing and successful content creators who will share their personal journeys and experiences with you. Be sure to follow and subscribe to our podcast, connect with us on Instagram and Facebook, and visit scooponblogging.com for more information and tools to help you launch and sustain a successful online business. Now let's start the show. Okay, so welcome to the Scoop on Blogging podcast. I'm your host, Xaviera, and this is our very first episode.
Very first.
And I couldn't be more excited than to have my dear friend, Mr. Ray Cornelius, as my very first guest. Now, we got to show him love because my brother had to go over the river
and through the woods
and yonder to get out here to my home. We are recording in my kitchen today on this beautiful, blessed Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to have you as my guest, Ray.
I'm happy to be here. I genuinely thank you for allowing me this opportunity. I feel like your listeners. I'm sorry, your scoopers.
Yeah, my pooper scoopers.
Scoopers already kind of know who I am because of our time together, our travels, and
oh my gosh,
the different junkets and stuff like that. But I feel honored that you would allow me to be your first guest.
Absolutely, but we have to start at the beginning.
Okay.
So we missed our friend-iversary.
We sure did. And I thought about it this morning. When I was getting ready, I was like, you know what? I said, we did all of that. You know, we talked to each other the day before, and it was like, okay, it's tomorrow. Okay, we got it written down, so we're gonna call. Okay, I'll call you, you call me. And then I thought about it this morning. I was like, nobody called anyone.
So our friend-iversary, it is our 3-year.
Yeah.
Four. Our 4-year friend-iversary was January 11th.
Yeah.
Because Ray and I met January 11th, 2016. We were interviewing Marlon Wayans.
Yeah.
We were at the
St. Regis
Hotel in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because I got there, and you know, when I go out to do these interviews, like I'm always like nervous, scared to death, and you know, I was new to media at the time. I wasn't really getting invited to a lot of different things, so I always come in with this anxiety, and there you were with this big smile, looking like you just stepped out of a J.C. Penney catalog. And I don't even know how we began talking.
You know, I think we just I think somehow we started talking. We actually started talking after the interviews were over because something was going on. I think
it was before the interviews.
Was it before the interview?
Yes, because remember they had little snacks, like little bites.
Yeah, they did.
And you went over and got something, and I think you asked me if I wanted something.
It's kind of
because remember we were standing up. We still had our coats on. We were standing up, waiting to go inside where we sit down.
That's right. Because we were outside of the. We were in the lobby area before they opened the room for us. That's right, to go in. Yeah, you know, I think we just started talking.
Yeah.
And I knew of you because when I had started, a little after I had started blogging, there was a friend of a friend who would she would refer me to your website. For stories, for things that were going on. And so I knew of Ice Cream Conversations.
Yeah.
And so when you said it, I was like, oh, you're the... In my head, I was like, you're the girl. Yeah. So it was like I knew I didn't have a face.
Right.
So it was like, oh, and we just kind of...
Instantly.
Yeah, we just connected. So I knew of you, but I didn't know you by face.
That's cool.
Crazy.
I never knew.
You didn't know that.
I didn't know you knew of.
Yeah. Because it was.
Wow.
I mean, so what happened was there was a. God, my friend's gonna kill me. I'm not gonna say the name.
Okay.
There was one of my very best friends. She's almost like a sister.
Okay.
I kind of actually she is a sister because I said at this point if we've known each other for over 20 years, you're family.
Yeah.
You move from the friend category to family category.
Yes.
And so basically we had this. She had created a secret Facebook group.
Oh, the secret Facebook group.
We would things would get posted inside of the group that you could just freely discuss and say whatever you wanted to.
Right.
And it was basically comments and things that you wouldn't say on someone's real website only because of you never knew what type of reaction you were going to get. And so a lot of times I think one of the dangers of social media is I can type something and you may read it a whole different way
than you meant it.
Right. And so it was like, oh, well, you said that with an attitude. Well, no, I didn't. I just,
I just said what I said.
So, right. So, she created this group for us to just freely talk about whatever. And so she would post ice cream conversation stories because that was, yours was considered mine was considered the positive entertainment news.
Right.
There was but we also commented on the quote unquote ratchet.
Right, the ratchet.
Right. So it was out of that, which that group doesn't exist anymore, but out of that group is how I knew.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah. Well, shout out to her because that got me some traffic.
Yeah.
All right, so, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you as my very first guest is because, number one, I admire you. Number two, I love you to pieces. Yeah. Number three, you are one of the most professional people in media because, like with everything, you have the, you know how it goes. Like you have the super professional down to the ratchet, and you know how it goes. Yeah. And so that I think that's one of the other reasons why I connected to you because I wanted to build my platform. I wanted to be, connectable. I'm going to make a TI word today.
Okay.
I wanted to be connectable.
Okay.
But I still wanted to maintain a certain level of professionalism. Right. And as you can see, come on now. His name is Ray Cornelius. You know what I'm saying? And
which is actually, what your I keep saying listeners.
Yeah, they'll be listening to the podcast. And
that's not my real name.
Yeah.
I don't think,
Hold on. Can we put a pin in this? So let me tell you how I found out Ray Cornelius, his real name. Yeah. So New Orleans. We are all over the place, but we got time.
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
So I get this opportunity from Lionsgate to go to New Orleans for the Deepwater Horizon screening, right? And so I'm like, oh my God, this is my first trip out of town as a blogger. Oh my God. Yeah. So he was like, you got a +1. And I'm like, who can Ray? I'm gonna take Ray. So, as we do these trips, usually when they reach out to us to do these trips, we have to turn in like our name and all that stuff so they can make our flight arrangements. Yeah. Well, he sends me an email with Ray Cobb, and I'm like, who the hell is Ray Cobb?
Yeah. So basically, when I was getting ready to create my blog, the blog's original name was Ego.
Wow.
And that was supposed to be for entertainment on the go.
Ooh.
So I was gonna have shirts that said "Mine is bigger than yours." All of these different things. And so when setting up for those that are looking to set up a blog, you first have to get your what is it? Your domain name.
Yes, the first.
And so if your domain name is not available, it may be an amazing idea, but you got to go to the next.
Yeah.
And so when I looked up Ego, pretty much all of the various forms of Ego were already taken.
Yikes.
So I couldn't do ego.com. I think I didn't want to do ego.biz. I didn't want to do ego.us because it's like that sounded more like a company.
It is.
And not necessarily entertainment. And so then I tried entertainment on the go. Couldn't do that either. So I was really, for a long time, I was really trying to figure out what name could I use? Urban Sophisticates, Urban Entertainment, all of these different. And then I remember literally being in tears and crying, like, God, I need a name. I don't have a name. And a fraternity brother of mine, when this is so off the story. Anyway, long story short, he was in we were coming from somewhere and my car broke down. Ruby broke down. My departed.
Shout out to Ruby, man. God bless the
my
dead,
car broke down in Vine City. So it was
all places.
It was like AAA. I need you to get here as soon as possible. Anyway, as we were waiting for AAA to come, he said, you're going to be famous. And he said, famous people change their names.
They do.
And I was like, okay. So he was like, your name is Ray Cobb. I said, yeah, actually my name is Ray Cornelius Cobb. And he was like, Ray Cornelius. And I was like, and I hated my middle name. I'm serious. I hated my middle name because when I was a kid, people used to call me Corn Cob, Corn on the Cob, Slobby Cobby.
That's Slobby Cobby.
Yeah.
That's Slobby Cobby.
All of these crazy names.
I made a mental note of that, right?
I hated Cornelius. And so, but it was the way he said it that I was like, okay. So I initially changed my name on Facebook because that was the only social media platform that I was on at that time.
Okay.
And people were saying, you really should blog. So I had changed from Ray Cobb to Ray Cornelius. Well, that was the name that I heard God say it first. Ignored it, was trying to find the other names. And then I ended up having to come back to that. And that's when he was like, this is the name I gave you.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to go with. And so I just remember reading Angel Laws's book.
Yes.
On, learning how to blog. And when she talked about if you use your name, the blogs tend to be about you because you're using your name. I didn't want the blog to be about me. Right. I wanted the blog to be what I wanted it to be. But, I just said, okay, well, I won't make it so much about me, but I'm just going to go with raycornelius.com. So,
well, let me piggyback off of that because in the Scoop on Blogging course, I talk about the importance of choosing your name for your site, because when you choose your name for your site, and you already know this, when you choose your name for your site, that is the first foundation for your branding.
Right.
And everything that you do is going to build off of that.
It's based off all of that.
And like you said, I mean, if you find the perfect dope name or something creative, look at how quick you went with ego. You went from ego to merch. My ego's bigger than yours. If you choose the right name. But as one of my pro tips, I recommend that you name your site after yourself. And the reason being, and you know this firsthand, if you name your site after yourself, you are branding your business and yourself at the same damn time.
And so at the time, I wasn't there yet in my thinking in terms of what I could potentially do as Ray Cornelius, or who I could potentially be as Ray Cornelius. I started off thinking, okay, I know I want to have entertainment news. I know I want to talk about positive entertainment news. I didn't want to go the gossip route. I felt like there were already enough people in that lane.
Saturated.
Basically. And then I also think that because it's part of my branding, I'm not a gossip person in the, kind of in the first place. I mean, everybody enjoys,
a good key,
right? Of which we've had many off the record.
Ray will call me like, girl,
right? Or I'll see the eyes, emoji,
give me the
eye emoji, like. But I knew that was not really
what you wanted.
What I wanted to do. So I remember somebody, when I first introduced it, somebody was like, "That sounds like a lawyer name," and I got nervous because I was like, "Oh God!" But then the more and more I started letting people know RayCornelius.com, they were like, "Oh, that sounds a little." It went from being a lawyer name to, "Are you related to Don Cornelius?" to, "Oh, I like that." And I would always tell, because I even got comments from people saying, "Oh, I love your dad's show, and it's got to be, amazing to be part of such a musical legacy." And I'm like, I am not related.
And you right back.
I'm not related to Don Cornelius. But what I will say, or what I thought was funny, was the week that I started the blog, which was February the 6th, Don Cornelius died that week.
Wow.
And I always said in my head that one Cornelius went to the ancestors and another Cornelius.
My grandmother always said, for every death, there's a birth.
There's a birth.
He passed, and the birth of your site.
Yeah. And so that was really just the beginning of that.
Well, let me back you up a little bit, because we're talking about naming, how you name the site and all that. But what gave you the blogging bug, is what I'll call it. Like, what made you say, I want to start a blog?
So here was the thing. I've always, and I've told this story before, I knew I wanted to be famous,
Okay.
right? I
Yeah.
wanted to be somewhere in entertainment. My dad was a singer, and his singing name was Ray Cobb. Right.
Oh,
his real name is William Cornelius Cobb.
Ray Cobb in
But
the Good Life.
his singing name
Yeah.
was Ray Cobb. So when my mom, she always says, when they were picking my name, he wanted to name me William Cornelius Cobb II, and she said, absolutely not. I don't want she didn't want any seconds to my name. She said, I fell in love with Ray Cobb, so it's going to be Ray Cornelius Cobb. That's how I got my name. So I knew I wanted to be somewhere in the limelight. I knew I tried singing as a kid long ago. That didn't work out. I knew I was not going to dance like Michael Jackson. I wanted to be Michael Jackson.
Okay. I wanted to be Whitney, for the record.
Right.
Thank you.
I think it was either you wanted to be Michael or Whitney, or if you were a white girl, you wanted to be Madonna.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's
so
the Holy Trinity.
That was it. So the show Entertainment Tonight came out, and I was just I had never seen the only other show that had been out before that was a show. Oh my god, I'm gonna date myself.
Go ahead.
It was a show called PM Magazine.
Okay, I don't know that one.
And this was a national
They ain't
show.
had that one in Jersey.
Well, it was a national show that
was?
came on at 6:30 or 7 p.m. in the evenings that kind of focused a little bit on kind of your arts entertainment kind of thing. But anyway, Entertainment Tonight came out. I was like, I want to do that because these were the people that were hanging with the stars. These were the people
rubbing
that were on,
shoulders.
rubbing shoulders. They were on location for the films. They were at the concerts. And I was just like, yes, yes, and yes. That's what I want to do. Then BET came to Florida because it always was. You started in New York, then DC, then Miami, then it got to Orlando. It trickled down to Orlando. And I saw Donnie Simpson, and I was like, that's someone who looks like me, this brown skin like me. At that time, I was dealing with colorism.
Oh. Okay.
I am the only me and my oldest sister are the brown skin siblings in the family. Everyone else is fair. My mother's fair. And so there were moments, that was, I think, like maybe the first and last time that I really dealt with colorism. I did not like being brown skinned, but when I saw Donnie Simpson, I was like, here's a man that is doing what I want to do. Because
and
again,
he looked like me.
Right. He was rubbing shoulders with the stars. And so all throughout high school and college, I told everyone I was going to work for BET. I was going to be the next Donnie Simpson. My friend that started the Facebook group, we were as my friend would say, y'all are the gossipees. We knew all this. I mean, we lived and breathed for Sister Magazine. Woo! You know what I mean? Shout out to Jane Foster Brown because she was it. In college, I scheduled my classes around the Joan Rivers show because she had all the white celebrity gossip at 12 p.m. on Monday through Friday.
Strategic.
So when I was in college, that's what I wanted to be, an entertainment reporter.
Right.
Ended up working in my school newspaper, got into newspaper sales, media sales, and at that point it was just like, okay, that's not gonna happen. I interned with a news station in Tampa where I went to school. Didn't like it. I didn't like the grind or the deadline, having to meet those that's a lot of pressure to meet. It is. And so I was like, but what was interesting is that I had deadlines for advertising sales and media sales, working at the paper. Right. The paper was done by a certain time, the ads had to be in by, so it was like no matter what, I just learned that in media there's deadlines. So fast forward, when I started on Facebook, I was constantly posting stories from anyone, Hollywood Reporter, this, and so someone was like, so you want to just blog.
You were curating.
In a sense. They were like, you just need to blog. And because I had not written in such a long time, I never really considered myself a writer. And because I didn't really go through with that career in journalism, which is what my degree is in, I just said, nah, that's not, that's not me. But anyway, a friend of a friend was like, in 2010, it was the beginning of a new decade. Okay. He was like, you should blog. And he challenged me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I tried doing it myself and was supposed to launch the website in 2011.
Okay.
I attempted WordPress.
Okay.
That is hard.
WordPress is not for weak.
It's not.
But to be fair, though, WordPress has come has WordPress come a mighty long way, or just are we?
I still can't tell you, because it was. I tried that, and again, I started crying. I
started on Blogger.
I can't do it.
Remember Blogger?
See,
I started on Blog. It's called Blogger. It is Google launched.
Is that the B? The little B?
The B.
Okay.
The B. Okay. The little fat B.
Yeah.
Because Google launched their own blogging platform for the people who couldn't figure out WordPress. Yeah. And I couldn't figure out WordPress.
Yeah.
So I went to Blogger, and what brought me to WordPress, I was in a blogging group. Okay. And I was so excited to be among these other bloggers and to learn. And the first thing I saw, because I said, anytime you happy, the devil gonna show you something. Yeah. Right? First thing I saw when I joined the group, some girl, and I'm not gonna say her name, because be it as it may, her site is no longer functioning. Okay. Look it going. Right. Anyway, she wrote, if your site isn't on WordPress, you are not a real blogger, because you don't even own your own.
Right. So that was, okay. So now that you say that, that's kind of jogging my memory. That is what someone told me, because they were like, at any moment, whatever you own cannot be touched. Mm-hmm. So if you own it, no one can remove your site or tell you to take things down. So I was directed to WordPress. Mm-hmm. Tried it, didn't work. That was the beginning of 2011. Okay. Go back to the fall of 2011. A year later, I meet that friend of a friend, and he's like, so where's raycornelius.com? And I was like, well, it does not exist. And basically he was like, okay, so you're a joke. So you're a lot of talk, but you're not. Yeah. So
he pulled your card?
Oh, so it was like, this don't know me. Okay, some few choice words, fill in the blanks. Mm-hmm. And so, but it pushed me, because I was like, you don't know me. You don't know me to talk to me like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, I met you through it, but I will show out.
Yes, we will show out.
And so, but I love him for it.
Yes, absolutely.
After that, I said to myself, okay, either and I had other friends who were like, what happened?
Hold on. I gotta put another pin in you. Do you know, I just saw, like you scrolling through Instagram, people post quotes. Yeah. I just saw a quote yesterday that said, when people don't want to be held accountable, they feel like they're under attack. See, you felt like you don't know me,
right?
Because he was holding you accountable. He was holding me
accountable, and so I
just wanted to put that in there because we inspired.
That's good stuff. And so I said, okay, I put on Facebook, is there any? I need a graphic designer, because I said, okay, I don't know WordPress. I'll pay someone to show me how to do it and or put it together. Right. A really good friend of mine said, hey, I've got a graphic designer that lives down the hall in my apartment building. He's great. I'll recommend him. I went to meet with that guy, and I ended up writing a check. Okay. I'm not going to say the amount, but I wrote a really nice amount. Yeah. At that point, that's when it became serious and real. And when I got in my car, I said, okay, God, I'm going to trust you on this. Mm-hmm. That was that October of 2011. We presented the site on February. The site actually went up February the 5th. I didn't start pushing it until February the 6th because that was a Monday. Okay. But we actually uploaded stories,
went live and everything
on the 5th. And it was during the October to that February that I literally every morning, part of my prayers were actual confessions, where I verbally said what I wanted the site to be. Mm-hmm. So, God, thank you for favor with this celebrity. Thank you for favor with publicists. Thank you for favor with networks.
Yeah.
And I was naming names. Thank you for favor with Beyonce. Thank you for favor, calling out names. And my first interviews were Keisha Jackson, who's the daughter of Millie Jackson.
Oh, okay.
And who is an accomplished, when you think of amazing singers and amazing background singers, she has performed for just about everybody.
Right.
And so I remember had the movie, I think 20 Feet from Stardom had come out around that time, but I liked that film. And so I felt that she had a story, and then also the fact that she's the daughter of music royalty Millie Jackson.
Absolutely.
I figured she'd have some really cool things that we could talk about. Karen White. One of my middle school crushes.
Wait, can I just tell them now? Can I tell them about the night? So Ray and I went, and it was a dinner for Chili.
It was a dinner for Chili.
Yes, Control Magazine.
Was upstairs. Yeah, shout out to Julian Lark.
We went to a dinner for Chili. They were honoring Chili, and it was at the Sweet Lounge.
Sweet Food Lounge, yeah.
And we were sitting upstairs, and we were eating, and dining, small talking with some of the celebrities that were at the table, and they presented Chili with her stuff or whatever, and all of a sudden hold on, we said,
is that Karen White? Am I hearing a Superwoman?
So Ray hold on, and you hear that. Ray said, "Oh, we gotta go." Yeah. We were like, "Bye, Chili, bye." We hauled tail downstairs.
She was downstairs. Yeah,
she was downstairs performing. We had no idea she was even supposed to be there. Yeah. But I promise you what, before we left, Ray and I both was over there kikiing with Miss Karen White, snapping pictures. Remember her little fur? She had her fur, her big curls. I'm gonna dig those pictures up. Yeah.
That was just an amazing interview. And then, Jasmine Guy, Avery Sunshine. So it was who was just at that time. I had known Avery when she was with the group called Daisy Rue. Okay. When she was, she had went to Spelman, and her and this other young lady had created this duo, and then Avery went solo, and she was kind of putting her stuff out there. And then we reconnected when she did the play I Dream, where she was Martin Luther King's grandmother, and Demetria McKinney was Coretta Scott King. Amazing.
Yeah, that's our girl too. That's our girl too.
Anyway, those were my first interviews, and so for me, again, I had a little bit of adjusting to trying to create quote unquote popular stories, right?
Yes, that is always a challenge
that people would want to hear, because I'm so used to the Entertainment Tonight method. Now we're talking about trying to reach millennials. Everything is now moving towards social media. A lot of how media was being reported had changed, but for me, I was going based off of the model of getting a story, presenting a story, and putting the story out there. And so I thought those were some really cool interviews to start off as a very new blogger, whatever it was, whatever I wanted to call myself at that time. Put it out there, and there was some motions. There was some motion. My friend who had created she was helping me to write some pieces. We were at that point. I had learned about aggregated stories of where you go to, say, a deadline and you see a story, and it's kind of like you redo that story with your own twist and then source, this is where you got the source from. So the site was that, but then there was that desire to have original stories. And I remember going to my first Love and Hip Hop event, because that's when they were introducing the cast. I'll never forget that.
I remember that event because I didn't get invited, and I was sad.
That was crazy. But there was a guy that was there who told me, he said, your popularity will be based off of your original content, not aggregated content. So he was like, you always want to create original stories.
Can I put a pin right there? Because I'm sorry to interrupt you,
No.
One of the things that I want the Scoop on Blogging podcast to do, if there's a point that you make that can be a teachable and learning moment, I want to execute that.
Okay.
And what you said about aggregating content versus creating your own content, that is very important, because or are we old school? Because I see a lot of new bloggers, and I'm just going to call them new bloggers, and it's not in a sense of to disrespect or that we some OGs or something, but I think that we came into the game because this year is my 10th anniversary.
It's 8 for me.
It's 8 for you. So we have seen a lot of things change, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but we've seen a lot of things change from the point that we came in. We came in from the old school class of, okay, it's cool to aggregate a little bit, but you need to write your own content.
Right.
Now, you and I both could write about the same thing, but when you pull it up, it will be 2 different perspectives or a way that it's written.
Right.
There are some OG bloggers and as well as new bloggers who do what I call the cheating method. Okay. They will write one opening line, copy and paste your content in the middle, a closing line, and push it out. Now, meanwhile, it's taking you and I about 20-30 minutes to push out a story. They're pushing out stories every 5 minutes because basically they are aggregating someone else's. To me, as a reader, I mean, I want to know what's going on, but at the same time, I would look at that person like,
so
really?
So here's the thing: and I guess, well, let me say this. Started the website. It didn't do what I thought it was going to do.
Okay, that's what I want to talk to you about.
So there was the first year, right? I think that was 2012, 2013 and 14 I call my angry years.
Being a new blogger is a challenge.
Well, so for me it was, I started this thing that I thought was going to be
boom. Yep.
Because everybody was like, you should be, and so the support I thought I was going to get, I didn't get. I remember asking Facebook friends. I had inboxed like 30 people and said, would you please comment on my website? I think 5 people actually responded, and 3 of them actually did it. One of them did it. He passed away. He used to be a prayer partner of mine. Another friend who lives in Savannah, she did it. But it was like pulling teeth. And so those anger years, I call them the anger years because I was, when you're, there's an expectation.
Yes, it is.
You have an idea of what you think success is going to be, how you think something is supposed to work out. And at the same time, I was doing this. And what I mean by that is I was looking at what was happening for other people.
Absolutely.
So I was mad.
Comparison is the thief.
Oh my God. It will, you never want to compare.
Never.
But that was the lesson that I had to learn. And it took 2 years to learn that, because I would have heated conversations with my best friend / co-writer about, why isn't my site doing this? Why am I not here? I'm here and I want to be here. So the frustration level was really, really high. But it took, so that was 13, 14, 15. It finally clicked. And I said, okay, I'm not that person, or I'm not these people whose websites have taken off and mine. I'm sending out people I'm sending out like invites, and some people are responding, some people are not. So I just had to say, okay, you can't be concerned about that.
Right. You learn to let go of a lot of things. You do.
And then it got to a point where I had been, every night staying up to all hours of the night trying to provide content, staying on top of things, doing stuff at work. I mean, all of this stuff that,
it's not easy.
No, it's not. And so I knew I wanted to turn a corner because I felt that by year 4, I should be,
in life.
Yeah, it still hadn't happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't until 2016 that I was again praying and begging and asking God, crying like, "How can I do?" I need to turn I needed to turn a corner. I needed something more,
at least something that lets me know I'm headed in the right direction,
right,
and to keep going,
right, or that somebody's actually reading what I'm
yes.
And I heard. And people will be like, you hear God when you pray? But
absolutely.
I heard in prayer.
You got to listen.
He said, ask for a radio show. Now, what your scoopers may not know is my 9 to 5 is at Clark Atlanta University in radio sales, right? Which also was part of the push or catalyst to get me to do blogging, because the majority of my clients are arts and entertainment people.
Right.
So your Live Nations, your National Black Arts Festivals.
You're already in that.
Right. So I was already going to events, meeting with celebrities, coordinating interviews, that kind of thing already. And my friends were like, you're already around these people. Just blog about it.
Yep.
And so working at the radio station, I had it never once crossed my mind to do a radio show. Again, I didn't see myself in that, yet I had been working at the station at that point for over 10 years. So it was like, that was, but other people were like, oh, that was a natural progression. I just knew that was going to be,
I would see it as a natural progression.
Yeah. So it wasn't until we started the radio show that's when, and remember when we talked earlier about the RayCornelius.com.
Yes.
That's when it clicked that, oh, okay, I can now present myself as a moderator. I can present myself now as a presenter. I can present myself now as a pop culture expert. Whereas that was not my mindset or thinking at the time that I started. Right. So the resistance to RayCornelius.com, I wasn't even thinking along those lines.
No.
So when I look back at the angry years, when I look back at the earlier part, and even Bishop Jakes had talked about, you got to have a foundation. You got to lay.
You do.
You got to. Part of it is creating your foundation for.
Yes.
But
that foundation process is rough.
Oh my gosh! It is not what you expect.
No.
It is not what you ever even. I read it was a horoscope.
Okay.
That basically. And I know some people feel like, that's that's the devil or whatever. But it was a message that talked about a lot of times, and I always say with stuff like that, you take it with a grain of salt.
Absolutely.
However, if something does speak to you,
if it's positive, I'm gonna take it.
So that message, and I kept this. I hung this on my cubicle wall. Oh. Basically, the message talked about a lot of times we will embark on journeys not understanding the work and the sacrifices that it will take when starting that journey. That had we known about the hard work and sacrifices, we would not take that journey.
We would not have started.
No. At the same time, also not knowing the help that we would get along the way, or the people that we would meet to help us get to our destination. So what I took from that was, okay, that's where I am.
Right.
Because at that moment, had you told me that it was going to take all of this to do, I would have said, no, sir. No, ma'am.
I'd have passed.
I'm good.
I'd have passed.
But then at the same time, the prayers of favor and the people that I met that didn't know me from Adam, but said, okay, I'll let you talk to my client. I'll let you talk to my TV star. I'll let you talk to my music star. Over time, there was a trust level that was built. and I think going back to your compliment that you gave me about professionalism
and your reputation,
you gotta always be
professional
at all times.
We done seen some mess,
and because I learned that a lot of that help came from people that I had met years ago that were not in the position that they're in now.
Yeah.
They were working at Starbucks when I met them, but now they're over A&R for record labels. Or when I met them, they were a struggling, whatever, but now they're working at Tyler Perry Studios. So a lot of, and you've even asked, how do you do this and this?
No.
How do you know this person?
Let me just tell you something about Ray.
But it's true. It really is true.
I mean, that makes sense to me. Now that you've told me that, that makes sense to me. Yeah. But Ray has this thing, and I'm going to look straight into the camera. Ray has this thing. Ray can walk up to you. Now, mind you, I'm like, oh my God. I'll be like, oh my God, there's Denzel Washington. Oh my God. Ray will walk up and say
this.
Yeah, I had to catch myself. He's like, this king will walk up and be like, oh my gosh, Denzel, you were so awesome in your 4th grade play when you played the lion in your elementary school version of the Lion King. And I'm like, how do you know? He's like, Pauletta, you were so awesome when you sang background for Aretha Franklin when she was in middle school. Like, how Ray will know the most. It's a major key. It feels like a morsel, but it is a major key. Ray knows something like that about just like Exhibit A. He just sat there and told me my site was in a group on Facebook. I didn't even know about it. Ray knows something of importance about every single human being on this planet. I'm like, oh girl, I remember the time that you tried to dye your hair and it fell out the back. No, Ray would be like, I remember that time your mother had marched with Madam C.J. Walker down in Atlanta to do Coretta Scott King's hair.
But here's the thing.
You just know these things.
So I've been accused of sometimes sounding like a fan when I interview.
Really?
Talent. Yeah.
Because you know?
But here's the thing. And I didn't take it the wrong way.
Yes,
no.
Please let that bounce.
Because the thing was, what I said about that was, I bring up those things, those stories, those moments to let you know that I know who you are. Yes. Because a lot of times,
we see it all the time.
Well, no, talent will come in and they're like, you don't know.
You really don't. You really don't.
You have your questions, but you really don't know who I am. You don't know what I've, you don't know what I've accomplished, or those things. And so, what I found was that a lot of times, if you say, like when I interviewed Angela Robinson, who plays Veronica Harrington on The Have and Have Nots, I followed your career. I've been following your career for quite some time. I knew you, or I was first introduced to you as Suge Avery in The Color Purple. And she was like, how did you know that? And then I followed up with, and I remember you as the witch in Into the Woods.
See?
Oh my God. And she was just like, oh my gosh. But here was the good thing about that too, is in that conversation, she said, that is how I got to Tyler Perry.
Wow.
And so she was able to tell the story of how Tyler's people came to that performance of Into the Woods. They saw her. They already had the Have and the Have. No, they didn't, because someone came back and told me that they didn't have that already.
Okay.
But they saw her. They liked her. And they said, we're going to get your information. We've got something for you. That was 2010, I believe, that she did that show.
Wow.
Because The Color Purple, that was 2009, because Fantasia was in that that particular production. Fast forward to 2012, and it's the Have or 12 or 13, and you've got the Have and Have Nots. So it was like being able to let her know that I've been following your career. It broke the ice.
It makes a difference.
She felt more comfortable. She was like, okay, you've done your research. And that's another thing.
Do your God.
Excuse me. I'm going to talk directly into the camera. You got to know your research. You got to know your stuff.
You do.
Because what happens is when you're in rooms, as we have been in rooms with a number of notable people, a lot of times it's not always, as someone told me, it's not always the people with the flash. It's that person standing over there in the corner that has the purse strings, that writes the checks, that makes the decisions on if a project is going to happen or not. And so when you're having those conversations, you need to be able to speak intelligently about whatever it is that you're talking about.
But hold on, let me speak to that. Because that is another pinpoint. When you are in media, and if you are a blogger or you are a creator, you are in media in some way, shape, or form. I'm speaking specifically to the people who want to blog, work red carpets, interview people. When you walk into a room, do not walk in that room with an air about yourself. Do not walk in that room with the sense of, I'm only here for one person, and that's the only person I'm going to focus on. You need to acknowledge and treat every single person in that room as if they matter. Case in point, Lorenz Tate. Remember that? Lorenz Tate came in town with NBC. We had a little press dinner with him at STK. And everybody's like, oh, Lorenz, Lorenz. And there was this beautiful brown sister standing in the corner, standing in the background with her beautiful cream camel color trench coat on. And she was just standing there. And I was like, wow, everybody's making this big fuss, or media people who already know each other. They're talking to each other. No one is paying any attention to this young, beautiful queen over here. None. And I connected with that because that is the same feeling that I had every time I walked into any opportunity that I had. That's how we met.
Right.
Because I walk in with this anxiety. I'm not saying she has anxiety, but I just know that being the lone star in the room. I walked over to her and I was like, hey, how are you? Good. We start small talking. She's like, oh, I'm here accompanying Lorenz. I work for NBC. I'm just oh, okay. Now, to the average person, they be like, oh, okay, that's cute. Let me get back over here to Lorenz.
Right.
So I said, oh, NBC, I love the Carmichael show. She was like, girl, I love the Carmichael too. Less than 1 year later, maybe less than 6 months, 3 months later, that young lady went back to NBC and I had a plane ticket to LA to interview the cast of the Carmichael show. That same young lady is now executive producer over entertainment at NBC. You do not ignore anybody in the room. You better show love and show respect to every single person in that room. I was kind to her. I took time to talk to her. She went back to NBC and came back for me. Reached out to me. That was my first time ever in LA.
It's not always about the flash, and you'll find that, again, the more and more that you have these encounters, it's never about the people that the spotlight is on. It's great. They're great.
Yes.
But there's always the people in the background that you want to establish those relationships with. And I'm going to tell you, relationships are key.
Yes.
Hollywood, entertainment, all of these worlds are so small.
They are.
I always say, and you never say a person's name in public because you don't know. I can't stand Alicia Keys. No, you don't say that in public.
And then
because you don't know who.
You get an email 3 days later. Hey, Ray Cornelius. Alicia Keys is going to be in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Wanted to know if you'll be interviewing her. And then you go you there.
No. Yeah, or you try, and it's like, no, you don't get the interview.
You don't,
because you said I don't like Alicia Keys, and somebody in that group
done caught it
that knows her. You know what I mean? So it's like I always say, who knew that Martha Stewart and Snoop were such good friends? So you don't know who is connected to who. So you never do that. But I wanted to go back to when I realized that the brand could be bigger.
Yes.
And that came at the time, I believe, social media was really starting to become the main source of how people were getting their news. Instagram leading the way.
Yeah. For me, it's Facebook. Facebook is my bread and butter.
Yeah. And so it's like being able to compete with that, being able to keep up with that, adjusting has been a challenge. And so the radio show really afforded me the opportunity to reach people in a way that the website did not. And from the radio show, we now do the videos on YouTube, and then now it's about creating content.
Let's talk about that, Ray, because right now, 8 years in, you're creating content. You're creating written content, online content on the site.
Yeah.
You're creating content on social media.
Well, let me say this. Not so much with the website, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Again, people, the way that they're getting news now has changed a great deal. Video.
When I saw the shift? I saw the shift in how my readers absorb my content, is what I'll call it. I saw a huge shift the more popular cell phones became. Because remember, you had to wait till you got to work, and you're supposed to be working, but you spent the first 15 minutes
on the website,
surfing the net, trying to get all your tea and get all your scoop. And then now it became, it's as simple as just reaching in my pocket.
So let me go to the website on the phone.
And go to the website on the phone, but then here's social media. And then now you have a shift of people. When social media became popular, at first it was just about socializing.
Right.
Then it became, another avenue of marketing, obtaining news, obtaining information, and then you had
quick news.
Right. Because listen, if social media was really, really popping back, imagine if social media, if Instagram was popping the day Martin Luther King was shot and killed.
Imagine if Instagram was popping when Michael Jackson released Beat It or Thriller, or when Whitney sung the national anthem.
Somebody would have been going live, and you would have seen the monsters in the background going.
All of that.
And somebody would have been in the background like, on the set with Michael Jackson, Thriller.
All of that. Then a few comments later, they would have been talking about how he's connected to the that group. It's
a certain group. We don't say their name.
No. So social media has changed a lot. And so
how has social media impacted how you operate and run your brand and your creating content?
So I mean, you've gotten on me about the video on Instagram.
I'll be reading
Instagram stories, because it kind of went from you got to tweet everything, but I was just like, I don't have time to sit there and then now it's again, it's all about video. I tend to lean more towards the longer form version, so your YouTubes.
Yes.
I still Facebook. Instagram is more so about pictures, but now because nobody really, my friends would always say, oh my God, we see you in the picture, but we want to see you interacting with that person. So really now the focus is more on video. But because of what we do and doing this on a daily basis, my attention now has really turned towards really wanting to create content.
Yes.
Again,
what type of content? Because blogging is content as well.
So here's the thing. When I, after starting the radio show and realizing that Ray Cornelius could be so much more than the website, shortly after that, I created Ray Cornelius Productions. And under Ray Cornelius Productions was the website, the radio show, and then whatever television and films I wanted to produce, and then Ray Cornelius Presents, which were live events, i.e. conversation with me and whoever, or curated exhibition on such and such and such and such, as long as it was arts and entertainment.
Yes.
And so that's where I said, well, I don't want to just be, because I followed, I guess, the pattern of Oprah. Oprah started off in radio, and then
journalism,
as a writer, then radio, then television, then doing news, then a talk show, then movies, then a production company, then a magazine, and now she owns a network. So, and because it's now all, it used to be radio, TV, film are kind of all in the same thing.
Yes.
Now you've got radio, TV, social media, film, live events, books, magazines. It's now all together. So I felt, okay, let me then try to branch off and do some Ray Cornelius Presents things. So that's where I had the ideas of, having the conversations for a 30th anniversary of whatever film or whatever, something like that. But really now the focus is on, and especially after this week's Oscar nominations and the fact that very few people of color were nominated. Well, we don't need to have that discussion of, why aren't we being nominated? As my mom always said, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. Yeah. Fool me once, you're not gonna fool me again. Yep. I'm not gonna sit and cry about why we're not getting Oscar nominations. Tyler Perry said, instead of trying to get a seat at the table, create your own table. Right. So at this point, it is about.
But Tyler Perry gotta let other people sit down at the table too.
That's another conversation. But
Ray said, don't say names. Don't say names.
That's another conversation.
Don't say names. Yeah.
But And let me see, we always have the preference. There's no shade in that.
No,
There's
none,
no shade in that at all.
None.
Please do not go and say.
It was a jokey joke.
Yes, please do not go and say,
It was a jokey joke.
It really is about creating content, because the only, and as I was talking with Ed today, he mentioned this, and it's so true. When you look at Ava DuVernay,
yes,
who was a film publicist, Ava DuVernay was promoting films.
Other people films.
The artists. I mean, if you go back and you look at videos of Jennifer Hudson promoting Dreamgirls, that was Ava's film. Ava gets out of the car, and then Jennifer gets out of the car.
Wow.
There's footage of that on YouTube. And so for her to then say, well, shit, I can do my own, that's how she, did it. And now she's, when they see us, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Ava to, she would have either another studio like Tyler or create a network focusing on women in film. I wouldn't be surprised.
The sky's the limit for Ava.
Yeah. And so for me, it's like, how can I be more effective? I feel like the media space, it is saturated, and I would not deter anyone from wanting to get into that space. Don't take that from what I'm saying. But for me right now, I feel like, and especially because I still do work at the university, being around our young people and seeing this disconnect between the history that I know and the history that they don't know, that I feel that they should know.
Yeah.
I had an intern, she came in with finger waves, and I was like, oh,
hey,
you giving me Josephine Baker vibes. And she said, oh, thank you. But who's Josephine Baker?
I'm coming to join you, honey.
It was like, what? So, and in talking to my sister, she was like, well, who's telling our stories?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so because we're now in this time of being able to tell so many different stories now, and you can tell stories through media.
Yes, yeah.
But I also feel like I want to take things to another level by telling these stories in film form.
Right.
Whether it be short or long form or documentary. And so that's really
that's where Ray Cornelius is headed.
That's my focus. I am currently working on, by the time this comes out, this will be out there, but I'm working with, based off of conversations and that experience, I'm working on a playwriting contest that is actually going to be an extension of my radio show as a way of me giving back to other young creatives. But I partnered with True Colors Theater Company, which is Kenny Leon's theater company, one of my clients, through the radio station. See how all this stuff is connected.
It's all connected.
But this year the focus is on African American female playwrights. Okay. And black women telling other black women stories, or just telling the black experience itself. And I thought it was, and so their theme is She Griots. So I was like, why don't we create a playwriting contest where we find 4 aspiring black female playwrights, and they create original works that will be featured in March during Women's History Month.
Oh, that's amazing.
And the winner of this contest will get an internship with True Colors for their summer production, which is focusing on 2 African American women.
Oh, that's perfect.
And that is being directed by an African American woman. And so for me, being able to, now I can say I've produced a project that has now helped future content creators, and I've created a story for myself that other media will want to, I think, put out there, that here's an opportunity that young creatives are getting.
Yes.
Right? And it also exposes them to, because they have to focus the original piece on a African American shero.
Okay.
So it forces them to do some digging.
Yes, to find a shero. Yeah.
You know, a lot of the Generation Zers and millennials, they're only concerned about what's in front of them. They don't really care about what has already gone before them. And I think they do themselves not all millennials, I don't want y'all jumping on me, but I think they do a disservice. When they don't know that. Because when I did show the intern who Josephine Baker was and what she stood for, she was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this woman existed. I need to go learn, who she is. When I had another intern who said, I want to be a costume designer, I said, well, do you know Ruthie Carter? Had no idea who Ruthie Carter was.
And now Ruthie Carter ain't black history. She current history.
Right. And so when she found out who she was, she came back, oh my God, I need to get an internship with this, And so it was like, so now she's been on this whole thing, and now she follows this woman, you know what I mean? And so it's like, these are people that have paved the way for the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And so for me, it is, I feel, and my sister challenged, she said, well, you have this access to these people. If what you're doing is not helping the next generation, then why are you doing it? Because if it is about you being famous, fame it's
fleeting, number one,
and it's
fame has destroyed a lot of people as well.
Look, the other thing I learned in this blogging thing, and my brother said this to me, and I've said this to you, we've said this to each other. The beauty about being in media and doing what we do is we get to go to the fabulous events. We meet the fabulous people. We hang around the fabulous people. We go to all these amazing places. And once that is done, we get to go back to our lives. Spend time with our friends. We get to go to the mall.
We regular.
Get to hang out.
We get
to go and do everything else. But the people that we just interviewed
can't
do that. And my brother said, he was just like, Beyonce would love to just go to the mall and hang out with her girls. She would love to just go
eat her Popeye's chicken in peace.
Right. with her biscuit and pepper on the side. You know, it's just it's that they're and even when I interviewed Deion Ferris, and I was like, you know, she was like, when I got to the point where I wasn't washing my own drawers, that was a problem. I was not cleaning my own clothes. I didn't want to be that big. I couldn't go to the mall with my friends. I couldn't just hang out. So he was like, my brother was like, you know, you can go in that world and come back out and be who you are. They can't do that.
No.
And so I think there's a the idea of fame and what that means and being fabulous and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think there are pros and there are cons.
They are.
You know, and you learn that doing what we do.
And you learn it as you go along as well. And I wanted to talk to you about that as well. Like for someone who is interested in becoming a blogger, because it's funny. I mean, some people are like, oh, I want to be a blogger, but there is a natural progression. I mean, we heard Ray talk about his natural progression from simply sharing information on Facebook to now preparing to start making his own films and television shows. There's a natural progression. You may come into blogging with, oh, I just simply want to blog. But, you know, when I came in, just speaking for myself, when I came in, I was like, you know what? I started blogging on MySpace. And I just was writing stories about my kids. It was a coworker who said, hey, you should start a blog. And I was like, all right, what's a blog?
Yeah.
And so she was like, well, like you just write things and people come. I don't even remember how she explained it to me. But she was like, you write things and people come read them and then they can comment and all that. And I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. I started my first blog on MySpace. But when I first started my blog, I was like, what do I like? You know, because at first I was writing about my kids and I'm like, you can't do that for too long because then they're gonna be like, stop telling our business. And so I was like, well, what else do I really like enjoy? And I was like, I love celebrity news and entertainment because like Ray, as a kid, I thought I was gonna grow up and be the next Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
I had dreams of stardom. And so I said, well, you know what? If I am not going to quote unquote be a star, I can write about them. And then I got tired of reading things. As someone in media, nothing just cooks my gizzards like reading wrong information just printed so boldly and presented so widely. And I said, you know what, I want to have my own voice and I want to present these stories in my voice or tell them in a way that is relatable to us. And when I started, I had no idea that I was going to end up standing next to you on red carpets talking to Denzel Washington. I had no idea we were going to be hopping planes. Like we literally flew to Los Angeles, LA. Came home, and got back on a plane and went to New York. And so it's like I didn't see that, but it was a natural progression. I was like, all I need to do is just write these stories at home. And then I was like, but I want to go actually talk to the people I'm writing about.
And you know, I want to say, I think what was interesting about us, because during those angry years that I had mentioned earlier,
I'm actually in my angry years.
Okay. Was the whole idea of it, and I think when we met, it was I've got all these readers, but I don't get invited as much.
Yes.
I don't have all these readers.
But you was everywhere.
But I'm everywhere.
And I was like, we need to do something.
It was like, and I was like,
that was our first convo.
And here was the thing. I told you, I always felt that there was enough room for all of us. I shouldn't be jealous of you. You shouldn't be jealous of me. And I would have to tell myself that because I was like, well, wait a minute. Well, she's got all these people followed. Like, why can't I get, you know what I mean? And so, and I'm sure you were like, well, hell. Why can I get an invite?
Look, can I get a seat at the table?
But like, I think, you know, the thing is, you have to, Tika Sumpter said in a Rolling Out interview, and I remember when I said I was doing all of this, I was looking. She said, you got to be like this.
Yes, you do. They put blinders on horses.
They put blinders on horses because they want that horse to run straight. Anything else on the side of that horse
don't matter.
Will either frighten the horse or will serve as a distraction. So you have to be like this. So Tika said, I walk like this with my head down, not looking what Taraji is doing, not checking out what Sanaa Lathan is doing. I'm just gonna keep going where I'm being led, and it takes a while.
I still fight it.
We all do. The comparison, I should be here.
Okay, can you talk?
But I'm here.
Please talk. Please give a word. Give a word. Because
I'll be very transparent. I came into 2020 thinking, why am I not here?
You ain't the only one. You are not the only one. I have interviewed
this person. I have done this. I know my interviews are way better than, but you have to, nothing to take you down, like, as you're scrolling through Instagram and Bishop Jakes pop up and you're like, okay, what is he talking about? And then you read it and it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's me. Or you see Devon Franklin.
You said Devon. Devon, listen. You
see Devon and you see what he's praying about, and you're like, wait, that's me. Oh my God.
You can be in the middle of some full-fledged
gossip.
Heathenism. And you can scroll, and next thing you know, Devon like, Heavenly Father, I'm like,
and you're like,
and you can't scroll past.
You can't.
You just gotta be like,
and 9 times out of 10, what he's praying about
is what
you experiencing. So it's like, so I'm having that moment right now, and then I go through it. Devon's like, I want to pray for those who feel like they've been left behind, that they've been left out, that you're not where you feel like you should be.
Lord, I want you to touch the hearts of every person who feel like they've been putting in the work and they not reaping the benefit.
So it's just like, okay, God, I'm sorry.
You're like, Lord, I'm sorry.
I apologize, Jesus.
Lord,
I apologize, Holy Spirit.
Lord, I'm gonna stop acting like you ain't had me on a flight from LA to New York.
I'm gonna stop being ungrateful.
I'm gonna stop being
because if I go back and think about all that you've done in 2019, so it's so
the bond gets
shout out to Devon Franklin. We love you. We love you. So it's that's how you deal with it because as a media person, you have to be driven.
You do,
right? Because when you're on those red carpets and you're fighting with, you're literally fighting with people to get that interview, to get that conversation. You cannot be timid. No. And I think in that pursuit of the story or the next headline, there's also that pursuit of, well, I want to interview higher level people, or I want to attend. Why can I be at Tyler's, studio opening? So what you have to do, what you have to learn is, and this is no different than the actors we talk to. I mean, we hear this stuff all the time.
We do.
Of people who are like, well, I went to school and I started doing this and I got on this film and now I'm competing with reality people who didn't go to, Harvard or Yale, drama school. But always going back to whatever is for you.
It's going to be for you. It's not going to pass you.
And that goes, and I remember we had this conversation about what that really means. When people say, oh, what God has for me is for me, that has nothing to do with a car.
No.
That has nothing to do with a home or really things that are tangible.
Yes.
A lot of times the things that God has for you are opportunities that you cannot pay for. Like the trips. That we and I know somebody may say, well, you just said it's not tangible things, but when I say the trips, more so the opportunity
and the experience,
the fact that they thought highly of me to invite me to this, I can't pay for that. That's nothing but God's favor. Or just the many opportunities that we have received, those are the things that God has for you. Or, God, I really want to interview this person. You know what I mean? And you get that interview.
I'm going to tell you the moment that I realized, like we talk about the angry years and we laugh and we make just, but it is serious. It's a very serious thing. And when you are, because we're business owners as well, you know, you have Ray Cornelius Productions, I have Ice Cream Conversations, I have Scoop on Blogging. We are business owners. We are business owners we are the heartbeat of our business, right? Because if I say, well, I'm just done, Ice Cream Combos is done.
It's done, yeah.
If you just say, well, I'm just done, it's not like they'll say, oh, well, we're just gonna give her a severance package and keep things moving. No, when I truly realized, you know, I still go through I feel like I should be here, but I'm here, but not realizing that I was here. And you know, the moment that I realized God truly had his hand on whatever I was doing, even in the midst of it feeling like, I don't think this gonna work. Or even in the midst of it feeling like, okay, so why? My blinder be like this.
Mm-hmm. Was
the moment that you and I standing right next to each other with Denzel Washington standing in front of us. Like, they throw reality TV stars at us like crackers, like animal crackers. You know, grab one. But in my mind, in arts and entertainment, as far as actors, he's here. And Denzel Washington is standing in front of me. And Ray will tell you, you remember I tried to cash out. We
all stood there like, okay, waiting for him to come. You know, we're about to interview Denzel. You know, that whole thing. And literally,
when you heard his voice down the line,
no. Before that, you saw the lights and the cameraman backing up into the room. Right?
I'm still getting goosebumps. Oh my God.
I just felt the chill as well. Yeah. When you saw that,
you know it was
the entire energy in the room shifted.
It shifted, yes.
And everything went to this man.
And I looked at you and said, I'm not going to say nothing to him. I'm just going to...
And it was like at that moment, what was going through my mind was, that's... Denzel Washington. You know what I mean? That is Malcolm X. That is, oh my God, the mighty
coming down the
mighty Quinn. That is glory. That is John Q. That everything that you can possibly imagine that this man has been a part of. All that went through my mind. That always happens when I meet a major star, and you're like, oh my gosh, and. It's I'll be honest. I only that and surprisingly Kim Kardashian when I did the red carpet for Temptation. People were leaping. I saw grown ass men leaping over tables, photographers trying to get this woman's picture, and the crowd went nuts. And Kim was pregnant at that time.
Wow.
So when you have those types of situations, I mean, it was just like, oh my gosh. And you're absolutely right. At that point, Denzel was making his way down to each outlet.
Okay, y'all, we got to paint the picture. Come on, Ray.
And I've got a hair in my eye. I'm sorry.
You need me to blow it on? Did you get it?
I think I got it.
Okay, let me see.
This is so, yeah. You might have to blow.
Did I get you?
Yeah.
And black people be like, oh, we got it. You got it.
Okay.
Okay, so I have to paint, like literally, we're red carpet.
Red carpet.
Select media
only.
But that goes back to.
But it's real tight.
But Ray.
It's real tight.
Select media goes back to.
Yeah.
Professionalism. Yeah. Favor.
Yeah.
Connections.
Yeah.
Knowing who is going to be respectable enough to get in front of Denzel, but still was a few stragglers who got in there.
And not ask, stupid questions.
Yeah.
Or no, I shouldn't say stupid questions.
Stupid questions.
Not ask.
Stupid questions.
Non-movie related questions.
Stupid questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway. So it's Ray and then myself. Now, we didn't talk to Michael T. Williamson.
Who I thought his name was Mikel T. Williams. But
is it
It's Michael T. Yeah.
It is? Okay, because listen, for years I thought it was Mikel T. And it wasn't until Denzel said Michael T. Williams. And I was like, Michael T. Oh, his mama was playing.
Yeah.
But okay, I see what she did right there.
Yeah.
Right. Here's another thing. I'm all, because that that night takes me to a very, very happy place. Anytime that I'm struggling for stories, or it's a slow news day, or I'm tired of the people in the comment section.
You interviewed Denzel Washington.
I interviewed Denzel Washington. That is my one happy place I go to as far as
you
media.
Interviewed a 2-time Oscar-winning actor.
You did too, because we was right there together.
Yeah.
So look, but just to say, back to your point, because you dropped so many gems, and you know, when I talk to you, I like to just sit back and shut up and just let you talk, because you, like, when you talk, it's like gems just dropping like bling, 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 bling,
Wow.
bling. But you made a point of making a connection with someone, never knowing where they're going to be. We interviewed Javon Adepo.
We sure did.
The Watchmen. Like, he went The Watchmen.
And what was the other film in between that was also a big thing too?
For him?
Yeah, it was after. It was.
He did Fences, and then
he did another.
But
recent.
Well, the most recent one I remember was like something crazy, like where it's like extraterrestrial sci-fi type of something or other.
Yeah,
but yes, but I'm saying he is
yeah.
The Watchman, and he's standing in front of us as a young fresh tender. You know what I'm saying?
And that goes back to that point of treat everyone with the same level of respect, because a person could be like he was in that film, and then the next thing you know, he's all over the place.
Because we're gonna get back to Denzel, but when we interviewed Javon, I was already a fan from The Leftovers on HBO. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to talk to him because of The Leftovers. Little did I know he was about to take them talents to The Watchmen, which is a fantastic show.
You just don't know where a person's career.
You just never know where someone's career is going to go. But anyway, so we're on the carpet, boom, boom, and the cameramen start backing up, the lights go up, and you hear that voice.
Yeah.
You hear that voice. Yeah. And Ray and I are like, we can hear him. It was almost like, you know what it's like when you were a kid and your daddy come home from work and you upstairs, you can hear him coming the door.
Listen, it went from where's Denzel to oh my gosh,
he is here.
That is Denzel.
And as soon as I heard his voice, I got a severe case of bubble guts. Yeah. I turned to Ray and said, I'm not saying nothing to him. I'm not going to interview him. You talk to him, because I knew Ray was going to pull up the time Denzel had took a crocheting class in 11th grade and crocheted a blanket that Coretta Scott King marched on Selma in, right? Yeah. So I'm like, no. I was like, you interview him, I'm just going to videotape. And that was my plan. Denzel came down. Ray nailed it. Boom. Talked to him about Fences. Boom. Knocked it out. Boom, boom, boom. Talked to him about Broadway. And I'm like, how do you know these things? And I'm just standing there, and I had my handheld camcorder and my little microphone, and I'm just like this, and I'm just taping Denzel, and I am literally looking at Denzel. And when you look at Denzel first, it's almost like a scan, like at the airport. You just start here and you just go, and like, oh my God, his mouth is moving. Oh man, he's dressed so nice. Oh man,
and because the spaces are so tight a lot of times, you see everything. So I'm looking at everything.
Denzel was where this microphone is. To both Ray and I. Yeah. He was right here. It wasn't like we had to talk to him across the room. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Washington, Mr. Washington. No, he was
that close.
He was standing literally in front of us. Yeah. And so I'm like this, and Ray says, thank you very much, Mr. Washington. It was a pleasure speaking to you. He was like, it's a pleasure speaking to you as well. And I'm just like this, and he just walks up to me, and he was like, hey.
Yeah.
And I was just like, my brain was like, bitch. He was like, literally, my soul was doing this.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
Hi, Denzel. Yeah. I kicked on, and I look, and I see it in the corner of my eye, and Ray was like, get him, sis.
Yeah, get him. Do it.
Like, I had made up my mind. When I saw him and heard his voice, my brain shut down. Like, I can't do it, shawty. I just want to see him. And so that was like just a great highlight. I'm going to tell you another highlight of us together. Our highlight reel.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it sounds kind of like really, what is it called? What's the word?
When pretentious?
Yes. Yeah. It's like, well, we met interviewing Marlon Wayans, and then when we interviewed Denzel. But New York City, standing, looking out the window, overlooking the entire city.
I joke with you. I said, you know what? I said, God had you on that trip because we're literally in the Boom Boom Room.
Yes, in New York City.
Top floor. And you can, I'd been to New York City 2 times before that. I had never seen Manhattan from that view. So you're literally in this place.
Gorgeous.
I mean, there's a bar in the middle. You've got the piano. You've got Tyler walking around. Taraji's over in the corner. You know, it's like, you're like, oh my God. And then you had the DJ. Remember that? And you've got this amazing view of New York City. And I gave my request to the DJ.
Yes.
I said, anything Diana Ross.
Yes. So he can
and
show
he
out.
plays, I'm coming out. And I stood there like, oh my God. And you were over in the corner.
Yeah. I
said, God has my friend over in that corner praying for me, because at this moment, these people can have anything they want.
He's about to show.
They can have anything they want. They would have got me.
Okay. He would have joined.
They would have got me, because that was spectacular.
It was.
I mean, that...
You know the other highlight of the night
they
was...
gonna get us.
No, let me tell you. They gonna get us. The other highlight of that particular night, the same night, was Ray was like, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, Ray is in VIP. And I had wore these super cute boots that I had wore with my little dress. I had bought these boots. And those boots clocked out on me before Acrimony had even started. Mind you, we were in New York City.
Yeah. For
Lionsgate had flew us to New York City for
I was your +1.
Yes, well, they flew me out. Ray, of course, is always my +1. For the New York City premiere of Acrimony.
Yeah.
And so they flew us in. And I was like, cool. And it's so funny because Ray and I are so media that Lionsgate, we have learned.
Yeah.
Lionsgate flies us as guests.
Yeah.
Ray, so I'm like, I'm a guest. Okay. Ray still is on, I'm going to work tonight. Yeah.
I wanted some interviews. I wanted pictures, and they shut all that down.
Listen, we had... So we slid onto the red carpet.
Yeah.
And then they looked at us and said, "You're not supposed to be here." Who was it that looked out for us so we could stay on the red carpet?
Oh my God!
Somebody was it a security guy?
It was no. It was a security person, but it was also someone who was like, because we told them we're not going to do interviews, but can we at least get some pictures?
Yes.
And they said, okay, you can, but you got to stand behind media.
Yeah, you got to stand behind media.
And so we looking at her like, we are media.
We are media. But we're not going to ask questions.
But we're not going to ask questions. So we stood there and we got to see, we got to see Roberts, Taraji. I mean, it was crazy.
Everything up close and personal.
Yeah.
But so these boots.
Yeah.
So I was going to kill him with the boots.
Yeah.
My hair was laid that night. That's one of my most favorite pictures of us because we look good.
Yeah, we did look good. Yeah.
With a T at the end.
Yeah,
we look good.
Yeah.
And so I had these boots on, and the boots cashed out on me before Acrimony even started. But now there's an after party.
Yeah.
So we get to the at the Boom Boom Room, and when I tell you my feet was dead to the floor, Uncle Charles, y'all, see you at the crossroad, and Tyler Perry comes walking by, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to Tyler Perry. So I literally go to
Yeah.
and get to Tyler, and I'm standing. I had to sit down and talk to Tyler Perry because my foot's, not my feet, my foot was hurting so bad. But Tyler and I had the best conversation. He was so cool. He threw me off a little bit because he was like, "You came all the way from Atlanta for this," and I'm like, "Tyler, we came for you."
Yeah.
Quiet as kept. You paid for it,
yeah.
So thank you. But that was a great night. That was
that was one of those nights that, again, you have those moments where you're like, what am I doing? What am I doing? This isn't working. I'm not, but to stand there in that ballroom, and I'm looking out this window.
It was just
glass. And I'm looking at Manhattan.
Floor glass.
And I hear Diana Ross
in the background
singing "I'm Coming Out" in the background.
He was ready to join.
I was done.
He was.
It was definitely that year. 2018 was an exceptional year. We did LA after that, we did New York. I got a chance to do ABFF.
You did Essence? Was Essence the same year?
Essence was the year before.
Year before, okay.
I did ABFF, which was
that was
great as well.
Savannah.
That was the end. The end of that year, I did the Facebook Live interviews for the Savannah Film, which was just the SCAD Savannah Film Festival, which was just amazing. I had so much, and I was there for a week. And again, that was one of those God moments that I could not have paid for.
No.
The opportunity came from another opportunity. That opportunity came because the young lady liked my professionalism when I interviewed Andre Leon Talley.
Wow.
And it was because they had brought Andre Leon Talley to Atlanta, and I said, okay, I want to interview him. I interviewed him, and she said, I like the way you interview him. I want to consider you for something else. I had no idea what that was.
See?
A month later is when she said, can you take this time off, and can you do this? And I said, sure. And she... and I said, yeah, I think I'll be able to do it. And that's when she came back to me the next day and said, oh, my bad. I forgot to ask you, what was your fee?
Come on, fee. Hallelujah.
I gave her a
Come on, fee.
And she said, no. And I'm like, oh, see,
I didn't
trying to get greedy. And she said, no, I'm going to give you this, which was higher.
Come on. Hashamalanda.
Way higher.
Way up.
And paid for my accommodations, set me up in the hotel. I ate it was just, and so those are those God moments.
Yes.
That was not on my radar. Didn't even know about it. But again, doing what you do.
Yes.
Being prepared, being professional. My focus was not on Andre's life.
Right.
It was about his work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I say life, I mean, we talked about his life, but not the gossip.
Yes.
And here's what I would say to those who also want to blog. 9 times out of 10, if you don't do the gossip, you will establish a relationship with people that they'll tell you stuff anyway.
Yes, sir.
But because they know you are not going to open your mouth, they'll tell you. And that's only through trust, because I know a whole lot of stuff that I'll never tell because I don't you learn the more and more you do these interviews, these are regular people,
yes,
just like they have families, they have children,
they have secrets,
they have businesses. You see them. You see them in a whole different light. And so, and I realized that when I interviewed Candy Burris, believe it or not. It was literally in the midst of the interview that I was like, Candy's my age. Like, this could be my sister.
Yeah.
Or, she's, at that time, she wasn't, I don't even think she was married to Todd. She only had Riley. She didn't have Ace. And it was just like, this could be me. This could be my sister. Would I want somebody, I'm trying to dig and fish for stuff, and it was like, would I want somebody doing this to my sister?
Right.
And and at that point I was just like, you know what? And not that I ever did, but I remember I was trying to get escape stuff out of her.
But a lot of times when I decided sometime last year that I was no longer going to refer to myself as a blogger, I was going to refer to myself as a writer, because, and I guess we can kind of wrap it up on this, but bloggers,
there's a negative connotation.
There's a negative connotation to bloggers, because now bloggers are considered, and Lord, please don't take
gossip
this,
mongers.
Yeah, but please don't take this the wrong way. It's almost like the bottom barrel of journalists. We didn't even go to school for it in most cases. We are the catfish of the. It's almost like, you ain't even go to school. I had so many people say, "Oh, you're not even a real journalist," and I'm like, I never proclaimed to be a journalist, because I would never disrespect the people who took the time and went to school and put the work in to be a journalist. I would never. So, and I don't allow people to call me a journalist, because I am not.
Right.
But it's just such a negative connotation because it's like on the blogs or the bloggers, because they're almost like piranha.
Well, now they become really popular on the reality shows because, again, the way we get news now is totally different. And now because a lot of these blogs have sort of shifted people's minds about just so much. Now it's like, okay, well, we'll say, oh, yeah, I saw this on the blog. And notice how they'll put the blog name, which is really pretty much giving a plug to that blog.
Even though they're trashing.
And that's business. Right. Even though they're trashing you, but that's business. But it's just, I remember I met Portia Williams, my very first time meeting her. And someone introduced me as, oh, this blogger, Ray, wants to talk to you. And it went from...
Oh, that happened to me one time.
Like, real quick.
One time, I can't even remember who it was.
And I was like, oh, no. I'm not that kind of blogger.
Yeah,
and she was like, oh,
and see,
okay.
But the fact that we have to explain, the fact that you have to add that disclaimer, I said, because you do arts and entertainment, I do celebrity news and entertainment, and sometimes celebrity news can, depending on where you stand, it can be considered gossip or not, or depending on what the story is. Right. And one of the things that I pride myself on in doing celebrity news is I always operate in a space of fact.
Right.
Which
you got to be able to back it up.
And
if you put it out there, you got to be able to back it up.
You got to be able to back it up.
You can't say sources or people are saying. You got to be able to back it up.
And I don't operate in the space of what the streets are saying, or I heard
word on the curb,
the word on the street, or whatever.
Or if you say word on the curb, have a link to where the word on the curb comes from.
Yes, and sometimes I will say something like, I like to say the scoop on the internet streets, because that's just cute to me. I always say the scoop on the internet street, but you're going to have a concrete source when I'm done. And so I don't operate in a space of that. And because I don't do that, I have been able to walk into rooms where everybody don't say, oh, God.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to be respected.
Yes, and and I said I never wanted to be that blogger that walks into the room and everybody go, oh, here she come, because I've seen it. Yeah, I have seen it to other people.
We've done it.
Listen, I've been the blogger, and another blogger walk in, and I'll be like, oh, here she come. And because of that, I have established that trust. There is not a negative reputation behind me. The one day last week, I saw Claudia Jordan on Instagram going hard in the paint for ice cream combos, and I was like, wow. And she was just saying, like, this is my favorite blog because they are not messy or nasty, and so I appreciate that. All the time, if you get arrested, locked up, and all that, you don't want that, me talking about that, but it's the truth. It happened. I got the mugshot. But anyway, because of that, I have been able to operate in a space of respect, mutual respect with the celebrities that we talk to. I don't have to worry about somebody running up on me and trying to swing, or saying, oh, no, she can't come in here. I don't have to deal with that. And so, and we talked about that, that because I ride the fine line. You are arts and entertainment. You ain't got to worry about
the thing is, I don't even, at the end of the day, you get what you give. What you put out, you get back. And so I always say, 10 years from now, will I be proud of the stuff that I posted on my website? And I can honestly say, yeah. I mean, we're going in, this is year 8. And there isn't anything on there that I would not stand by or say that I, I hate that I did that. I just think, for those that are coming into media, know your place.
Yes.
You're not the celebrity. Your media. And they will let you know that very quickly. Put in the work. Go with the plan, and always think of branding. Always think of
the long run.
Who do you want to be? What do you really want to do with this? And I just think, again, we're living in such a time right now where no one is going to tell our stories but us. No one is going to explain the Black experience but us. I was in a conversation the other day with a former music executive, and he talked about being in those music meetings and non-Black people saying this is what Black people want, and he's sitting up there like,
Excuse you?
No, that's not what we want.
Yep.
And them saying, no, this is what black people want. It's like, no, I'm black. Shit, this is not what we want. Like, they'll say and tell me what, And so I think we have to be the ones to tell our stories. When you ask, the other thing I did not say, and this is really important, I started blogging because I watched Entertainment Tonight. I watched Access Hollywood. I watched those shows that only told a handful of what was happening in Black Hollywood.
Right.
Or no, I'm sorry, what was happening with African American talent in Hollywood.
Just a handful, though.
You wasn't
getting much.
It was nothing in comparison to what I was seeing happening here in Atlanta. And I said, well, nobody's talking about this. When Being Mary Jane came out, nobody was talking about what Gabrielle Union was doing. I was like, this is a really good show. And so I just always felt, be the change you want to see in the world. And that's why I decided to do that. And so that's why, again, the content, I want to see more than just your Harriet stories.
Yes.
I want to see more than just your New Jack City stories. Hidden Figures was a perfect example of other stories about the Black experience that work.
And Black
that are bankable.
excellence.
And Black excellence. And other parts of who we are. We're not always the neck rolling, finger popping, let me put you in your place. No, there are other colors to Black people. And I just think that if God has given me the ability to call a director, to interview all of the people, to do the things, to travel, it goes beyond just the website.
It does.
And so to be in this position now, I think is like, okay, what are you going to do now? And I know what I have to do. So at this point, it's like, let's move forward with getting our stories out there. So
I think, okay, so I feel like this is a perfect place to wrap up.
Yeah.
As always, a pleasure talking to you. This is
we
why
can go on
this is why our phone calls are always 2 and 3 hours long. Can you tell everyone where to connect with you?
You can connect with me on raycornelius.com. That's the website. And I'm gonna tell you, I've been real lax with the website.
He done abandoned that thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to, but I would say keep up with me through Instagram at Ray Cornelius. My radio show, which is Upfront, the show, on Instagram. You can keep up with me on Facebook there under raycornelius.com. That's where, because everything kind of funnels through the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter kind of thing. And then listen to my show, my radio show, Upfront, Inside Atlanta's Entertainment Industry, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on WCLK.com. You don't have to be in Atlanta to be able to hear it. You can listen to it online at WCLK.com. And the
YouTube channel.
Yeah, the YouTube channel, which is Ray Cornelius TV, which is where I will be putting more interviews, some of the original content. I've even I put a video up of something that I helped to produce with AARP, which is one of my clients through the radio station. And so we created this opportunity of where the state director, Deborah Tyler Horton, talks to influential people over 50 and what life is like over 50.
Wow.
And so that's where we're putting, that's where I'm also putting content there as well. So just, that's how you can follow me.
Well, thank you so much. I love you to pieces.
Yeah, I love you too.
And thank you so much for being my first guest on the Scoop on
I hope we did not, bore you or, but I always say, you never know who or what you'll learn from just listening to a conversation. You may think you know somebody, but you really don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you as always.